Today I'm going to make some raita. Now raita would be the equivalent of a Indian tzatziki, let's just say. It's basically yogurt, cucumber and a few spices. I like to have my raita quite runny, or sort of fairly fluid, let's just say. My sisters generally and my mum generally prefer to have a much thicker raita. And so what they will generally do is actually, once the cucumber is grated, they will actually squeeze out all of the cucumber juice from it. I'm like, well, you know, I like the water from the cucumber, so I just add that in there. But I use a skyr yogurt, which is pretty amazing, and I'll show you when I open this up how delicious that is. It's creamy, it's 0% fat, and it's really thick. And so I think that kind of makes up for the consistency of the, you know, absorbing the water from the cucumber into the raita. So let's just start off. This is a washed raita, a washed cucumber. I'm going to just cut it into probably 4 pieces. And essentially what, you know, lots of people also, if you think about tzatziki, you can't tell that there's really greenness in the cucumber. I like to use as much of the skin as possible. So what I do is I cut it lengthwise like that, and then you know, invest in a good grater. I love this grater. It's from PC, but you know, it has a large grate, a small grate, a slicing, you know, 4 or 5 different functions, and it has a good handle so I can hold on to it. Use a large bowl. I mean, we're not making a ton of this, but use a large bowl nonetheless. And all you're doing is doing it lengthwise so that you get these nice strains and strings. And yes, you'll get some of the green skin in there, which is exactly what we want, but we don't want just the skin. So all you do is protect your fingers, and that's what you get out of it. So essentially what I'm going to do is do this for the rest of them, rest of the cucumber, and then I'll be back and show you the next steps. Okay, and we're back. Okay, so I've basically grated that entire sort of cucumber. Let's just scrape out the pieces of cucumber from that may be sitting inside of the grater. Whoops, there we go. All right, so that's done, and you see the skins over here. Now, what we're going to do is, there's not a lot of water. There is some water, as you can see, in there, but not a lot. Now, in order to reduce the amount of water that comes out of the cucumber, if you were concerned and you wanted to have it a bit thicker, well, at this point what you would do is you would add some clarified butter to this and just mix it into the shredded cucumber. What that does is it sort of forms a bit of a grease layer, let's just say, on top of the cucumber so that it doesn't get as impacted with the salt and the spices. I skipped that bit because I think that you know, I just like a slightly lighter taste for the actual raita. And I also, you know, if you want to use it as a bit of a dip for chips or something like that, or vegetables, you can do that. Okay, now, most importantly, let's add our skyr yogurt. Once again, I like the PC brand one, so I buy that. And then just look how thick that is. It's unbelievable how amazing that is, and it's incredibly creamy, like unbelievably creamy. So let's just empty. So this is a 500 ml container with one large English cucumber, and let's just make sure you take out all of the yogurt from in there. Okay, so let's give that a bit of a mix, and you'll see it sort of come together really loosely. Now, up to you if you feel that there's too much cucumber and you want to add more yogurt. I kind of like it like this. Okay. So, and remember, once you put the salt in here, it will start to thin out a bit more as well, because it will draw the moisture from the cucumber. Let me just move this out of the way a little bit. The skin and the grater. Okay, now to this, let's add our salt. So once again, I'm going to add about a teaspoon of kosher salt. Just sprinkle that through. I know some of you that probably don't eat a lot of salt are probably cringing, going, what the heck is she doing? Anyway, and then to that, a sprinkling of cumin powder. Just, as much as you like. If you don't like a lot of taste of cumin, don't add a lot in. I just like to give a bit of a sprinkling of that. And then I have ground mustard powder. If you don't keep ground mustard, what you can do is add a teaspoon of Dijon mustard or some type of a hot mustard. Don't use the yellow mustard. Rather, you're better off not putting that in if you're going to do that. So once again, like the cumin, just do a light sprinkling. And that adds a bit more heat to this. And then to that, what we're going to do is add one minced garlic. You don't want too much of a garlicky taste to this. And then probably 2 tablespoons of washed chopped cilantro. Add that. And this is a perfect accompaniment to tandoori chicken or anything coming off the grill. And so it's just a great dip. And even if you wanted to serve it with focaccia, or some other type of bread or crackers, you can certainly do that. And then I picked up some sprigs of mint from my little COVID garden over there. And so I'm just going to rough chop these into there. You could either use it as a garnish on top, but I just like a little bit of a mint taste. Once again, this is optional. If you don't like cilantro, don't add it. If you don't like mint, don't add it. But I think it adds a nice little flavor dimension into that yogurt. So now, normally at this point, I would now add also a bit of green chili into here, given that everything else is green. But what I'm going to do is I've got a sort of a dried Thai chili. I'm sort of famous for these now. So I'm going to take half of this because I don't want too much heat. So I'm just going to crumble in half of this, and this way it's red. You can see the heat coming if you are so inclined to either go for it or push it aside. So I'm just going to use that, sprinkle some of the seeds in there and see where that takes me. And once again, I'm going to have a quick taste of this right now, but once it sits in the fridge, it will sort of take on the added flavors. But you see, it's not thick, it's not thin. It's a nice consistency. And people sometimes add sugar to this. I mean, I try not to add any sugar because, first of all, I have a savory sort of taste in my mouth normally, and sugar just sometimes kind of ruins it. Okay, so let me just grab a spoon and we're going to take a quick taste of this. And I'm back and I'm going to take a quick taste of this. Hopefully I don't take a big piece of the red chili, but let me just take a mouthful. It's really nice. Got a nice tang, a bit of heat from the mustard, from the garlic, and a bit from the chili, but not a lot. It's really nice, and it would be delicious with any type of grilled meats. So I'm going to store this now in the fridge, and it'll last in the fridge for, I'm going to say, up to a week. But you can, this is a lot. If it was, if it's just for a small family of 4 and you're not really into this type of a condiment, you may want to make half the quantity. But this is stuff that I could eat like a tzatziki on a piece of bread and just eat it as a snack. So enjoy your Raita.